What's up guys, Nick True here, and today I want to share with you 3 pieces of bad money advice and how to recognize the pattern so that you can avoid financial trouble. I'll be sharing why tax refunds are a good thing despite many financial experts telling you otherwise, how to actually decide based on your income whether or not you should hire something out or do it yourself, and also one more piece of bad financial advice that could save you thousands of dollars in wasted money. Number 1. You don't want a tax refund because that's a government-free loan. Now, if you've listened to any financial advice, especially around tax time, you've definitely heard this one. Heck, I've actually been guilty of spouting this off in the past. And this makes sense, right? Like if the government owes you money at the end of the year, then that means you paid in more than you actually owe, which means you've given the government an interest-free loan. They've been saving and investing that money, all the while you could have been saving that money for yourself. Okay, so politics aside for a second, let's really examine this one. The average American received a tax refund of $2,895 in 2017. Let's just go ahead and make it $3,000 to make the math easy on us. So we can divide by 12 and quickly realize that's an extra $250 per month. If you were to put that money in a savings account at 1.5% interest, at the end of the year with compound interest, you'd have an extra $25. Wow. It's a little anticlimactic, don't you think? Do me a favor. If you've heard this advice before and people talk about all the interest that you're loaning the government and you're giving up, go ahead and leave me a comment down below. I'd love to know. But what can you do with that extra $25? Get like 5 more coffees this year? Woohoo. And you might be thinking, well, yeah, but that's 25 more than I had. After all, those coffees are awesome. But that's exactly the problem. You would buy the extra coffee. Let me explain. See, we humans are simple, emotional creatures, and we rarely think long term. For most of us, if we were to make a couple extra $100 a month, we would go out and eat a few more times, maybe buy a new pair of shoes, or put that money towards a small trip. Very few of us would actually take that money and use it to save or invest or pay down debt. Think about when you get a raise at work. Most of us use that money to slowly increase our standard of living. We very rarely are going to use that entire brand new raise to invest for the future. But it's been shown that when given a tax refund, a lot of us will surprisingly use that money wisely. In fact, a survey from Go Banking Rates found that in 2018, 43% of people who got a tax refund expected and planned to use that money to increase their savings, while another 36% plan to use it to decrease their debt. That's a whopping 79% of people who got a tax refund in 2018 planning to use it to make a smart financial decision. So what does this mean? Should you actually want a tax refund? Well, maybe. All this really means is that most of us lack the discipline required to take smaller amounts of money and use it towards long-term goals throughout the year. But if that statement right there doesn't apply to you, then by all means, get your tax refund as low as possible, because the math does slightly work out in your favor to get the money up front and invest it now. But if you know yourself well enough to know that that's not you, then just keep doing what you normally do, get that tax refund, use it for something smart, and just ignore all the tax refund haters out there. We care about practical personal finance on this channel, not the most mathed out way to do something. Which brings me to the second piece of advice I want to cover. Number 2, if you make more money per hour than what you can pay somebody else to do something for you, then you should pay them to do it instead of doing it yourself. This conversation seems to be happening everywhere lately. It seems like every time I turn around, there's another article or video comparing the money that you make with your time and trying to put a value on that, and then deciding that because of that value, then now you can make a decision about DIY versus hiring it out. And that's good. Like most bad advice, this statement does have some truth in it. It's not bad advice on the surface. The problem is that this advice has an unspoken underlying assumption built into it. And that is, while you're paying somebody else to do something for you, like mow your lawn or fix something on your house, you actually have to be working during that time and making that dollar per hour that you calculated. Now, one of the most often referenced examples in these articles is that if you can pay the neighbor kid $15 to mow the lawn, and then you make $25 at your day job, then it's a no-brainer. You should pay the kid to mow your lawn and not do it yourself. After all, if time is money, then you shouldn't be wasting time paying somebody else to do something when you make more money at your day job. Then people will take this advice and start extending it to other areas that they don't want to deal with either, like oil changes, house cleaning, home maintenance, remodels, and just other random things that you've got to fix. For me, it's like fixing random things that break or come undone in the airstream. This is a super easy fix, so this isn't the greatest of examples, but there's a lot of things that I could have easily paid somebody else to do, but if I spend a little bit of time on YouTube, then I can take care of them. Now, like I said a second ago, this all assumes that while the neighbor's kid is mowing the lawn or somebody else is fixing your house, you're actually at work making that $25 an hour. But that's a flawed assumption. Generally speaking, you're gonna have to work 40 hours a week, whether or not you pay somebody else to do something for you. And so the question now is, can you work overtime hours, or can you have a side gig or something else where you are actually making money during those hours that you're paying somebody to do something for you? If you pay the neighbor kid $15 an hour to go mow your lawn, and then you trot yourself back inside and start watching Netflix, that does not accomplish what we're trying to do here. You didn't just save $10 an hour because you make 25 and you paid him 15. You wasted $15 an hour because you wanted to watch Netflix instead of just doing something yourself. Now, let me be clear. I'm not against paying somebody else to do things for you. I do that myself. If it's in the budget and you've looked at the price and decided that's worth the money to you, then by all means, go for it. I'm purely talking about somebody going, well, I make this much in my day job, so it's a smart move for me to pay for my lawn to be mowed. I literally saw somebody post that exact phrase in a Facebook group that's all about getting ahead financially the other day, and that's what spurred this video on. That excuse is just that. It's just an excuse. It's a way for you to justify not doing something that you don't want to do. This isn't real math, and it's certainly not a good financial move. But speaking of math, that brings us to the third piece of bad financial advice, which might be the worst of all three. It certainly has the potential to cost you the most. All right, here's number 3. A traditional IRA is better for you than a Roth IRA, since most likely you'll be in a lower tax bracket when you're retired than you are right now working full-time. A traditional IRA is where the money goes into it pre-tax. So you have a retirement account, you put, let's say, $5,000 into that retirement account, you didn't pay taxes on that $5,000, and then one day when you get that money out in retirement, they'll tax it then. This means at the end of the year, you're gonna get a bigger tax refund because you've been paying money in taxes every single paycheck, and so at the end of the year, you've actually probably paid the taxes on that $5,000 since it's outside of your work that you're not accounting for this IRA. So you're gonna let the government know, oh, by the way, I contributed to this IRA, and they're gonna say, oh, great, here's a tax refund because you don't owe us taxes on that money right now. Now, a Roth IRA is the opposite. A Roth IRA, you pay taxes on that money right now, and then it goes into your retirement account, and then one day in retirement, you don't owe any taxes on that money. Okay, so why do you care about all that? Well, there's a bajillion articles and videos out there that explain the math behind these two ways that we tax it, and how it's very, very unlikely that you're gonna be in a higher income tax bracket in retirement than you are right now. At least, not the majority of people are gonna be in that situation. And here's the thing. When you run the numbers, the math is in favor of the traditional IRA a lot of the time, but, and this is a big but, there's a major assumption here that is often getting looked over in these articles, and that is, for the traditional IRA to beat the Roth IRA, you actually need to take that tax refund money, that money that you saved in taxes, and you need to invest it in another IRA or 401k or some sort of tax advantaged retirement account. See, a lot of these financial experts will tell you, well, in the traditional IRA, you can invest $5,500, the maximum for 2018. But in the Roth IRA, you need to first take 22% out of that and pay your taxes, and then invest what's left over. But you and I know that that's not how most of us pay our taxes, especially if we're not self-employed. I know for a fact that you're probably not going to take the time to refill out your W-4, run all the math numbers to figure out that you should actually be contributing a little less each paycheck to taxes because you know that you're going to invest in that IRA later this year. In reality, you're getting your paycheck, it's going to be all taxed, and then you've got an extra $200, $300, $400 per month that you're saying, okay, I'm ready to invest this into retirement. What should I do? Should I put it in a traditional or should I put it in a Roth? And unless you have the discipline to put it into a traditional account, then get the tax refund and then put that tax refund immediately into your 401k and beef that up, then you need to go with a Roth. That's why with the traditional, you need to sit down, calculate your tax savings right now, and then plan to invest that too. And to be honest, are you gonna do that? Are you gonna take the time to go through all that trouble? Maybe. And if so, if that's you, then by all means, run the numbers and look at it, and the traditional may be your best bet. But for the rest of us humans who aren't gonna go through all that trouble, just invest in the Roth, keep it simple, and sleep easy. Okay, so what's the point of all this? I made this video because I want you to get into the habit of questioning the underlying assumptions whenever you hear financial advice. All three of these examples that I've given you have some truth in them, but they all have built-in assumptions that you may not be aware of if you aren't paying close attention. But that's all I've got today. Please leave me a comment down below and let me know which piece of advice you've heard before and whether or not you knew about the built-in assumption. As always, remember, I can teach you how to question these pieces of advice, but I can't make you do it. The choice is yours. I'll see y'all next time.